If you're thinking about starting a business right now, you probably have thousands of questions floating around in your mind. And what I'm about to share with you today will help you avoid making the same mistakes I did and save you a lot of tears, sleepless nights, and money. And I really wish that someone would have told me this 5 years ago before I started my own business. Hi, I'm Jasmine. I have over 12 years of marketing experience, including running my own marketing agency for the past half decade. I've built multiple businesses from scratch, and as I'm navigating the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, I want to share all of my experiences and all of the lessons that I'm learning and that I have learned with you. But let's get one thing straight. I'm not here to sell you anything, right? No courses, no programs, no masterminds, no coaching, nothing. My mission is simple. I want to share all of my knowledge, all of my expertise, and everything that I've learned and that I am learning, and to give you the real raw truth about building a business as a woman. Because let's face it, the business world can feel like a boys' club, right? And we need more women in power. We need more female-run businesses and more support for each other. So think of me as your big business sister, someone who's already been there and done that, and someone who can really help you avoid making the same mistakes that she made and give you all of the tools that you need to build the business and the life that you love. So let's get right into it, because the lessons that I'm about to share were not just learned from reading books or watching videos or taking courses, but from actual experience, right? From the sleepless nights, the tough decisions, and the real world challenges of being a full-time entrepreneur. By the end of this video, you will understand the 5 most important lessons that I've learned in 5 years of building a business full-time. These lessons will help you to avoid common pitfalls that keep new business owners stuck. And they will also help you to set realistic expectations and avoid disappointment, and to understand how growth actually works, and to learn how to prioritize the right actions to see real results. And I'm also going to share practical action steps that you can implement right away, because I do not want this to just be another motivational video, right? I want you to walk away with a clear path forward and to know exactly what you should be doing next. So lesson number 1 that I learned the hard way, and this is a hard pill to swallow, but your success is directly tied to your willingness to fail. So if you're here, it's probably because you want to build a business that not only brings in revenue, but also feels aligned with who you are. Something that gives you purpose and fulfillment and freedom, and you probably want to see instant success. And I know that because that's exactly what I wanted in the beginning when I first started out. As humans, we are impatient, right? And we have a tendency to think short term, to seek instant gratification. And that really holds us back from long-term success, because you have to be able to expand your time horizon and think more than 1, 2, 3 months in advance, right? If you try something and you fail, don't see that as a sign that you're not meant to be doing this and that it won't work. Look at why it hasn't worked and then learn from it, right? Then iterate and go again. This is a lesson that I had to learn the very hard way, because when I first started my business, the pandemic had just began, and I lost my job, and so I needed to start earning as soon as possible. And I was actually, I was extremely relieved not having to work for someone else anymore and to live a life on someone else's terms, because I had always known that I was meant to be my own boss ever since I was 12 years old. So, working for myself had always been my dream. I just never thought that it was actually possible. So, then I met my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, and, he had been entrepreneurial his whole life. So we decided to start a business together. And in the beginning, I had this very romantic idea of what entrepreneurship would look like, working from a cozy cafe, only working 3 hours a day, and making money while I sleep, right? The typical dream that everyone sells you online on social media nowadays, right? It looked so easy and so effortless, and I expected that, right? I expected instant success. I was overly optimistic, and I was completely ignorant because I had no previous experience to compare what I was doing to and to set actual realistic goals, right? So when I look back at the initial business plan that I put together and the projected revenue, I literally get the ick right now. I was expecting to be making $500,000 in 6 months, right? It's absolutely lovable. But I simply didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know just how many failures I had to endure before I would actually see success. And, reality was a cold hard slap to my face. Nothing seemed to be working in the beginning. The anxiety, I felt was overwhelming, and there were days when I felt like giving up, many days, especially in the first 2 years. It was failure after failure. It was so disheartening. And on top of that, getting the judgment from my family, my friends, and the unsolicited advice that I should just, be getting a job again. Every single day, I counted how many months I'd already been trying. And I wondered, when my breakthrough was finally going to happen. It was so frustrating. It was so hard. But I kept going because even in moments of doubt, I had delusional self-belief. I knew that eventually all of this was going to work out. And, sure enough, in my 3rd year of business, that much desired breakthrough finally happened. And, we were finally making 10K months and achieved our first milestone. So, if I had given up, even just 3 months before then, I would have never ever gotten there. And so I just want you to know that this journey will feel like an uphill battle. It's really fucking painful. There will be anxiety, there will be stress, sleepless nights, and many, many tears. And a lot of people are trying to sell you, this dream on social media and make building a business seem so easy and effortless and, so much fun, and you can only work 3 hours a day and make multi-6 figures and, even millions. And I hate to break it to you, but that is absolute BS. In the beginning phase, you have to work super hard. You have to hustle. You have to make this building a business a priority. And you literally have to lock in and focus on getting your business up and running. And you have to forget about everything else. You have to sacrifice so much. And I think this is what most people don't realize, because no one ever shares this. No one ever shares this side of the business, only the glitz and the glamour. And, of course, it won't be like this forever. And yes, eventually you can get to a point where the business practically runs itself and you can have a team and you can work 3 or 4 hours a day, but it will not be like that in the beginning from the get-go. And anyone who claims this is simply trying to deceive you so you can buy the course and they can sell you whatever program, right? So I fell for this too, and I learned the hard way. So please, I want you to remember, you will only ever be as successful as your willingness to fail. And failure is a good thing. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's actually part of the process, because the faster you fail, the faster you learn and the faster you grow. And the truth is that every successful entrepreneur that I know has a graveyard of failed ideas and ventures behind them, right? It's not about avoiding failure. It's about failing forward. It's about seeing failure as data, as feedback, as growth, because failure is a stepping stone to what actually works. It's the key to success. And you simply cannot achieve what you want if you cling on to unhelpful, contradicting beliefs. It might take a while for you to shift your perception about the meaning of success and failure. And, that's okay. Just start taking action. You will learn as you go along. And this journey, it is a roller coaster, and you cannot be prepared for it. You literally cannot. You learn by doing. And most people think that they have to have everything perfectly planned out before taking action, right? That they have to have all of the ducks in a row. They read all of the books, they take, all the courses, and they wait until they feel ready. But guess what? That day never comes. It will never come. Perfectionism is just procrastination in disguise, and you need to take messy action. That is the most important thing. You need to fail forward. You need to take action very fast before having all of your ducks in a row. So you can fail fast and you can learn fast and iterate fast and get better faster. And the more you fail, the closer you get to success. I promise you, the worst thing you can do is to wait, because while you're waiting, someone else out there is making moves, right? They're gaining experience, they're getting ahead, and they're living your dream. And the more books you read and the more courses you take or the more videos you watch on YouTube, right? The longer you wait and the more time you waste. And as long as you don't take action, you simply won't get anywhere. That's the truth. You need to be willing to just go for it and take messy action, and not to be afraid or embarrassed of not having everything perfectly figured out yet. Because guess what? No one ever has. No one ever has everything perfectly figured out. Even experienced entrepreneurs, even those people that you look up to on social media, right? New problems pop up the more you grow. And the more you grow, the more unknown territory you unlock. It's like in a video game where you consistently level up, and each level gets harder, and soon what you thought was hard doesn't even seem hard anymore, right? Compared to the new level that you're entering. So, even millionaires and billionaires, they have problems, right? Problems don't just go away once you attain whatever success you think you need to attain, right? They get bigger and they get hairier the more successful you become. So you simply need to anticipate those problems, and over time you get used to putting out fires. All right, lesson number 2. If I could go back in time and give myself one piece of advice, it would be this. Followers are not your customers, right? So important to remember. In the beginning, I spent so much time creating content, trying to build an audience, perfecting posts and designing graphics and curating my Instagram grid and, waiting for people to come to me. And all I got was likes from my best friends and comments from my family, right? Because the truth is, at the start, you need paying clients. That's all you need. You need attention from the right people. You need to stop focusing on vanity metrics such as likes and followers, and you need to start focusing on income producing activities, and that's sales. You need to be able to sell. And contrary to what a lot of gurus make you believe, selling is not just posting on social media, unless you have a huge engaged audience already that consists 80% of your ideal buyer, right? But for most people just starting out, that's simply not the case. So here's the truth. When you're in the startup phase, content is not the top priority. You need clients, you need revenue, and you need proof of concept, right? And that does not come from just creating content. It comes from direct outreach and it comes from paid advertising. And my breakthrough really happened when we finally got over our fear and started reaching out to potential clients, right? That's when we went from inconsistent 1,000 to 2,000 months to 5, 7, 8, and eventually 10,000 months. And we did one thing very differently than most people. We didn't just send icky messages, the kind of messages that your inbox is full of. No, we reached out to people with a very personal video, offering value upfront, helping them out with their sales pages and their funnels and their ad copy for free, right? And we also asked them about their pain points and their challenges. And we used these conversations directly for market research. And naturally, they wanted to know about how we can help them and how we can work together. And that's when our business really started gaining momentum, right? And everything just started to go up from there. So the biggest piece of advice that I can give you is that if you're just starting out and building a business completely from scratch, right? Without any previous client base or connections or referrals, right? Instead of focusing all your time on content, focus 80% of your time on direct outreach or on paid ads and 20% of your time on content. Get your first clients, get feedback on your offers and products, get testimonials, and really build momentum. Focus on that. That's the most important thing. Your audience will grow over time, but your business needs cash flow to survive. And cash flow comes from sales, not from likes or comments. Contrary to what so many people try to make you believe, content is not everything. Yes, it's crucial, but it's a long-term game. And building an audience takes a long ass time. It's not an overnight thing. So in the beginning, your audience are not your customers. They are your friends and your family and your relatives. So posting will not get you sales. Posting will not get you clients and customers. What you need is paying customers for your beta products or offers, not followers or subscribers. If you have more capital, start with paid advertising. If you're short for cash, start with direct outreach, right? It's either one of two things, capital or human capital. You either pay with money or you pay with your time. So whatever you have more of to begin with, use that as your strategy and go from there. Lesson number 3. The hardest part of entrepreneurship is the waiting, right? You have to have a tremendous amount of patience, and most of us humans simply don't have that. The building phase where nothing seems to be happening is so hard. It's like planting seeds and seeing nothing but dirt for weeks. But this is what most people don't realize, right? Growth is exponential. Exponentialism is the idea that big results often come from small actions repeated over time. But the growth isn't steady. It's very slow at first and then suddenly it takes off, right? Like a rocket ship. So you need to understand that growth is exponential. It will not happen overnight. It's a process, but every action you take and with every input, you build momentum until it snowballs. And then all of a sudden, what seems like an overnight success, you see all of the efforts that you put in finally pay off, and it seems like overnight, but it's actually not, right? So imagine planting a seed. For weeks you see nothing but dirt, but you water it and you give it sunlight and still nothing, and it's so easy to think, hey, nothing's happening. But beneath the surface, roots are growing, right? And almost overnight, sprouts start to appear, and then all of a sudden, the plant is growing. And that's exactly how building a business works, right? In the beginning, it feels like you're putting in all of this work and you're not seeing any progress, right? You might even feel like you're failing. But every piece every piece of content, every sales call, every connection that you make, these are seeds that are being planted. It's like popcorn, right? You don't see anything for a while, right? It feels like, hey, why are these, why is the corn not popping, right? Nothing is moving. And then, suddenly, all of a sudden, boom, all of your efforts start to pay off. It's a law of the universe that applies to nearly every single area in life. And in my second year of business, I was exhausted. I was completely exhausted. I felt like I had been putting in the work, for so long and seeing little reward. And there was one particular moment that I still remember just as it was yesterday, right? It was such a pivotal moment for me. It was 2 nights before my 30th birthday, and I was crying because I had no idea how we were going to pay rent next month, right? Actually considering giving up for real this time. And I felt like a failure, right? At 30, I had accomplished absolutely nothing, and all of those years of hard work, with nothing to show for it, you can imagine how I felt, right? It was absolutely awful. I felt like such a failure. But then, within 2 weeks and what felt like almost overnight, everything changed. We got new clients and we were making consistent revenue, and all the seeds that I had planted months and years before, every connection I made, everything that I learned, all of the skills I acquired, it all started showing results. But it was not an accident. It was exponential growth in action. And I see so many entrepreneurs give up right before they reach this tipping point, right? They think, hey, I've been putting in all of this work, and nothing is changing, nothing is happening. So many of our clients as well, so many of our clients that we work with, they want to give up on paid ads because they don't initially see the success that they wanted to see so quickly, right? And even though they logically know it's a process that takes time and effort, they're not willing to wait it out, right? They're so impatient. They hop from shiny object to shiny object and get distracted with the newest trend or, a quick hack. But what they don't realize is that every single action, every tiny effort is building momentum. You simply just have to stick with one thing long enough to see results, right? Quick fixes are not going to grow your business sustainably. If you stick with one thing, one strategy long enough, it is unreasonable that you're not going to see the results that you desire. But you will not get the right outputs if you constantly change your inputs, right? Good things take time. It's not just a platitude. Plants do not grow overnight, right? Babies don't fully develop and grow overnight. You literally do not master something overnight. So why are you expecting your business to blow up overnight, right? We live in a world where, we have everything at our fingertips, right? You place an order and whoosh, it shows up the next day, right, at your doorstep. You crave, a certain type of food. You get it delivered, right, within the next half an hour or hour. We are conditioned, so conditioned for that dopamine hit, that instant gratification. And becoming patient and enjoying delayed gratification is such a process. So be gentle with yourself, give yourself some grace. And every time you feel yourself doubting the process or getting impatient, just keep remembering Rome was not built in a day, right? It will happen for you. It just takes time. In the beginning, I thought success would only come down to 3 things: the quality of my work, my creativity, or my branding. But the hard truth, the most important skill you need to master as a business owner is sales. And I know sales sounds sleazy and it sounds icky, and most people do not want to sell, right? They have such a negative connotation to selling. And I used to think the exact same. But real sales is not about tricking or manipulating anyone. Sales is a behavior change. That's all it is. It's about helping someone else change their behavior and take action that is genuinely in their best interest, right? So if you're selling, a service B2C or a service or product B2B, you're working one-on-one. You're guiding another business to make a decision that is genuinely helping them solve a problem or achieve a certain goal, right? So you need to know how to ask the right questions, how to listen actively and guide the conversation towards a win-win outcome. If you're selling a B2C product online, it's a different ballgame, right? Now you're selling one-to-many, not one-to-one. And this is where copywriting becomes crucial, right? You need to master the art of communicating your value proposition very clearly and very persuasively, to the masses, because you're literally talking to the masses. So your words need to do the heavy lifting. They need to make people feel seen and understood and excited to buy. And the biggest mindset shift that I made was realizing that selling is not something you do to someone, it's something you do for someone, right? when you're doing it right. When you truly believe in the value of what you're offering, selling becomes a form of service, right? It becomes enjoyable. Your conviction becomes so high that the prospect can feel your genuine energy. And that's how you're helping someone make a decision that improves their life or their business. And here's the thing, whether it's your clients or your team or your audience, you will always be selling something, right? You sell your products or services to your clients, and you sell a very clear vision to your team. If you do not know how to do this effectively, you will have a very hard time building a successful business. And of course, part of effective sales is also about setting expectations, right? Being honest about what your product or service can and cannot do. That's so important. And back then I assumed that clients knew exactly what to expect, but I learned the hard way, never assume. Assumptions lead to miscommunication, to conflict, and a lot of unnecessary stress. I learned the importance of over-communicating and making sure that everyone is on the same page all the time. This not only improves your client relationships, but it also makes your work life so much smoother and more enjoyable. All right, and last but not least, lesson number 5, change is the only constant. When I first started my business, I thought that I had to pick a niche and stick to it forever. And that thought really mortified me, right? But over time, I understood that niching down doesn't take away my freedom. Because the truth is, you always evolve and you always grow, right? So your interests change. And you want your business to grow with you, right? And if you want that, you need to be okay with pivoting. We didn't do what most people recommended when we started out, right? All of our mentors told us to niche down, but we didn't listen. We basically built our business completely backwards, right? And we didn't niche down because I was absolutely mortified, right? I was absolutely mortified by the idea of having to be boxed into a niche. As a copywriter and a creative strategist, I really need change because otherwise I get bored very quickly and I feel creatively claustrophobic, right? So I thought that not niching down would be better. And plus, I thought that I would be much rather learning about many different niches rather than just one niche, right? Because by learning about many different industries, I could become even better at what I'm doing. But over the years, we ran into a lot of operational issues. And I realized that we had to niche down if we really wanted to scale this business because we weren't niched. Our service delivery took a long ass time and I had to start from scratch with every single project. And since we weren't, charging what we should have been, I very quickly felt underpaid, overworked, and burnt out. And it took away all of the joy from my work and it just simply wasn't sustainable. I couldn't see myself continuing doing this for, the next few years. So it took us 2 years to get to this point. And even though niching down from the get-go would have saved us a lot of money, time, and energy, I still don't regret it. Because, I've been able to learn a lot from working with over 20 different industries and niches, and it has allowed me to gain even more skills and become even better at what I do. But while I don't regret it, I would not recommend it to anyone just starting out, right? Especially if it's just you and you're starting alone and you don't have a business partner and everything relies on you. There's only so many hours in a day. And if you have a service business, especially, you're going to deliver, you're going to have to deliver very fast, to keep your clients happy. If you have a product business, niching is equally as important because when your product, solves one specific problem for one specific market, you will be able to have more cut through and you will grow faster than by selling a generic product to the masses, right? So if you take away only one thing from this video, please let it be this. The only constant in business is change. The only constant in life is change, right? You need to be willing to adapt. Don't be afraid that niching down will hold you back in the long run and that you will have to work within this one niche forever, right? Because that's not how it is. Your interests will evolve, your business model will shift, and you need to be okay with pivoting. So you're not meant to stay the same forever, and neither is your business. In the beginning, niching down makes so much sense because you're going to be able to achieve growth faster. However, in the long run, boxing yourself into a niche just simply will not make sense, and it also won't excite you as much, right? Because no one wants to do the same thing for the rest of their lives, right? You will grow, you will evolve, you will change. We simply as humans, we just don't stay the same. We don't stay the same forever, so we cannot expect our businesses to. Unless you want to build a business that you can grow and then sell and exit at some point, your business will always be a direct reflection of who you are. So you need to be okay with pivoting, expect it, plan for it, and just go with it. Now, I don't want you to just get a dopamine hit from watching this video. I want you to take action, right? Here's what you can do today. First of all, I want you to do the thing. You know the thing. The thing that you've been avoiding because, of fear. Make a promise to yourself to do this thing this week, right? This coming week. Make a commitment to yourself and follow through. Because having courage does not mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing the thing anyway. So be courageous, go and start doing. You will never have all of your ducks in a row. You will never have everything figured out. It's impossible. There will never be the perfect time. You need to create the perfect time for yourself. And the only way to do that is by taking action and being proactive. And then research your market. Reach out to 5 potential customers, no matter if you've already started a business and you're in the beginning phases or if you're still thinking about it, right? Market research is absolutely crucial. You need to get to know your market intimately and really well. So rather than just focusing all of your time on posting content and creating content, set aside some time in your calendar to reach out to 5 potential customers directly this week. Whether those, are people on social media, followers you already have, or, people, from forums or groups, be creative here, right? These could even be people that you know personally, right? That fall within your ideal buyer, like your, friends or your relatives. I will make a separate video on this topic too if you're interested, but for now, just start a conversation with others, not with the intention to sell them anything, but to get to know their problems and their concerns and their wishes better. So you know exactly what your product or service needs to do and what problems it needs to solve. And then third, journal. If you don't do this already, start journaling, because documenting your thoughts and emotions and regular reflection is so important, because you can strengthen your self-awareness and you can realize when your business and your brand does not feel connected to who you are anymore, right? And that's very important, because as you grow personally and as you evolve, your values and your interests will naturally change. And it's important to make sure that you still feel aligned with your business and with what you're doing. I made another in-depth video on this topic, so go ahead and check that out. The link is in the description below. And also journaling will really help you to see what you've already accomplished in the past and what you've achieved so far on this journey, right? And this will really help you whenever you feel, that you're comparing yourself to others, who seem to be so much further ahead than you, or when you feel yourself, getting really frustrated and getting impatient because you feel like nothing is moving forward. You can then look back and read your past entries in your journal and realize how far you've already come and how far you've already accomplished. And really remember that growth is exponential and that it happens even when you don't see it initially. And I also want you to remember this one thing. Mistakes are inevitable, right? There is no success without failure. There just simply isn't. And that's not just a motivational quote, that is simply the truth. I'm sharing the lessons that I learned so that you can avoid making the same mistakes that I did. But the reality is you will still make mistakes of your own, right? You will stumble, you will still fail. And that's a good thing, because every failure is a lesson. It's a catalyst for growth. And without making mistakes, we would simply never learn. And therefore we would never be able to grow and to evolve and to be better and to do better. The goal is not to avoid failure. The goal is to fail forward, right? Remember that. Remember to use every single setback as a catalyst for growth. If you shift your perspective and you see failures as opportunities, nothing can truly stop you. So if this video resonated with you and if you're ready to take messy action and to build a business and a life that you love, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me. My mission is to build a true community of strong, supportive women who are ready to create real change, not just in their own lives, but in the world, right? The world needs more female-run businesses. It needs more women in power, and together we can make that happen. So comment below and let me know which lesson hit home for you, or if there's a lesson that you've learned in your own business journey that others need to hear. Let's grow together. I'm excited to be with you on this journey, and I'll speak to you next time.